Today we're taking a look at the 2023 Mach 34 by PSE. Just a reminder guys, head on over to mikesarchery.com to pick up any of our latest logo gear. We got plenty of hats and shirts as well as any gear you might need for your next adventure. Welcome back to Mike's Archery's YouTube, and today we are taking a look at the brand new 2023 lineup from PSE. And we've got their new carbon bow for this year called the Mach 34. Now it's a redesign of the Mach series, a longer axle to axle obviously, just several new features that we'll get into here in just a moment. Now PSE is still making all these bows in the USA, even their carbon risers right there in their own factory. Now the speeds on this bow, and we're going to break this down because it comes with a few different cam options. So if you're getting the E2 cam, you're going to see speeds up to 335 feet per second. The S2 cam, which is the one we've got here and the fastest of the three, has got an IBO rating at 340 feet per second. And then the Evolve cam, the EC cam that they've had for several years, is coming in at 330 feet per second. Now, obviously the axle to axle on the Mach 34 being 34 inches from axle to axle, and then that cam to cam length does vary slightly depending on the cam, the E2 cam being the longest at 40 3/8, and the S2 cam being the shortest at 39 1/2, and that EC cam falling in between there just a little bit around 39 3/4. Then if you look at the brace height, that does vary depending on the cam options. The E2 cam is going to come to you with a 7 1/8 inch brace height. The S2 cam having the shortest at 6 3/4, and then the EC cam coming with 7 1/4 brace height, giving you a little longer, smoother platform with that older cam. But if you're wanting the speed, then the E2 and S2 cam is where you're going to want to look at on this bow. The reflex is coming in around 4 inches on this bow, and then the advertised weight is coming in at 3.65 pounds. From there, we pulled this thing out, threw it on the scales, and we got it with everything on it out of the box at 4 pounds even. When we pulled the dampeners out of the limbs and things, we got it down to 3.8. So if you take probably the string stop or something like that off of it, you'll have it down to where the factory has it at 3.65. From there, you get several draw length options because of these cam options. That's part of the reason why they build it with a few different cam options. If you're one of those long draw guys really needing those extra inches, then you're going to want to look at that E2 cam, and it's going to go from 29 all the way out to 33 inches. So you big guys are taken care of if you want to look at this new Mach 34 with an E2 being all the way out to 33. You'd have to be a pretty big guy if you're needing longer than that. Now the S2 cam is probably going to be the sweet spot on this bow. It's going to go from 26 1/2 out to 30 1/2. And if you're wanting that high speed and the high performance that they're getting out of this new cam system, but still fitting most all you normal sized archers, it's going to be from 26 1/2 out to 30 1/2. And then if you're wanting the smoothest of the three cams with the EC cam, that's going to fit quite a few folks as well. On the bottom end, going down to 26 1/2 inches on the draw length, and actually going all the way out to 32. So if you're wanting smooth and you don't need any more than 32 inches, you're going to be able to fit yourself into that EC cam. Now they are offering this bow in several weight options. If you need a lightweight, you're going to be able to order this in a max of 50 pounds and then drop it down all the way to 40 without any trouble. And then you can also order this with a 60-pound max, 70, and also for you guys that are wanting that extra weight, you can get this bow in an 80-pound model as well. Now the Letoff, the new cam systems they designed last year, still having that module system on there. You're going to be able to get a low let-off module that'll take this cam from 65 out to 75% let-off. And it's going to come with the high let-off modules on it that's going to take you from 80% all the way out to 90% on the let-off, which is probably where you're going to see most of these bows for a hunting setup. Now, as we take a look at some of the new features from PSE that they've changed on this bow, the new Mach 34 continues with what they did on the Levitate last year with that dead frequency carbon. It is a full carbon riser, and it is filled with that dead frequency material that's in there. It just takes more shock out of it, takes noise out of the riser, just overall giving it a better feel in a carbon riser bow. Then they have the full draw stability system. We talked about that a little earlier in with the Omen that was introduced in the middle of the year, and this bow has it as well, giving a better stable platform at full draw, allowing you to shoot this bow with the lower brace heights and just getting a more stable platform at full draw than other manufacturers have. Now, one of the other things that we noticed on this bow that they changed for this year, and we're pretty excited about this from a shop standpoint, is the Easy 220 with the snap shims. Now, if you've ever had to tune your bow and take it to a shop, have them break it down, pull the axles, swap the shims around to get your paper tear and to get it to tune just perfectly, then you know how much work that is to be done. This new snap shim system that they have come up with, and the Easy 220 means it is adding up to the .22 spacers that are in there. You're able to take a shim kit, slide those out very simply with the tool that comes with it. That's not something that's coming with the bow. You're going to need to stop at the shop, but it's going to come in a full shim kit. And then as long as those spacers add up to 220 from one side to the other, then you can swap those spacers back and forth to get this bow to tune perfectly without having to work on it and pull the axles out of it. All you need to do is put it in a press, take the pressure off of it just a little bit, and then those shims come in and out off that axle very simply with that tool. I think you'll be able to see that in the video there. We're pretty excited from a shop standpoint that we won't have to tear this bow down to get you shooting perfect bullet holes and getting perfect arrow flight out of this bow. Along with that comes the new threaded axles, and they are sleeved. So no more E-clips on the end. It's a threaded axle that goes through there, and you can see as we can slide that cam back and forth once we pull those shims out. Once you pull those Torx heads off the end of the axle, then you're able to remove that if you need to. And unlike some other manufacturers, if you torque that back down all the way, because this axle is sleeved, it's not going to crush the axle or the limb. You're going to be able to torque that bolt down tight, and you won't have to worry about damaging the axle in any way by doing that. Also, when you torque that completely down, you won't have to worry about putting any lateral torque on the bearings. It's going to relieve that pressure as well. Keeps everything spaced properly, and you're not going to have to worry about tearing up these cams by changing out those axles. As we look at some of the other new features that PSE has added to this carbon riser bow, they have chosen to go with a couple options of integrate rest. So they have made this carbon riser with the ability to mount the original integrate system from QAD that's been around for a few years and they've had on some of their other bows, but they also used it in a way that you can also mount the Hamskea core system in the back of it. So this opens up the opportunity for you to use not only QAD, but Hamskea, and to get that inline, just integrated system that's going to bolt up really nice, keep everything sleek and slim and close to the riser and centered. One of the other small things that they changed were the limb dampeners. And it sounds like something that's not a big deal, but PSE's limb dampeners in the past have tended to be a little loose and fall out occasionally. If you're not paying attention, walking through the woods, they'll get pulled out. These are a much more solid, tighter system and holding up a little better. They're a heavier duty rubber in there, but just the way that they mount in the limbs is going to keep them in place, and as well keeping the vibration coming out of this bow and just giving it a great feel in the shot. They also changed on this carbon riser to the fixed roller guide system. So in the past, some of the PSE bows had a cable rod that was able to rotate and you had to keep that torque down. As they move forward the last couple of years, they have done an integrated fixed system there where there's no worry of this thing being able to move, and that has also been changed for this new Mach 34. Now they have also kept with the PBT tuning system in the cables. So not only are you able to tune this bow with this new shim system, you can still use that PBT to adjust the cable length and also take torque off your cams to tune this bow just very finely and get it shooting perfectly. One of the other things on the grip they changed is in the past you were not able to put an aftermarket grip on these bows, especially the carbon risers. They just weren't threaded for it. That changed with the Levitate, and we're seeing it now on the Mach 34. There's a threaded hole there if you want to put, say, one of the Ultra View grips or a PSE aftermarket grip, some type of rubber grip on this bow. You're going to be able to mount that right on there very simply with just a couple screws right into the riser. Besides that, on the grip, they kept with that same sleek, slim grip. So if you don't want to use that, you're going to have that great feeling Target slim grip that sits perfectly in your hand for a torque-free shot. They also kept with a single string stop on the back, but they also added a threaded area on the back that you can now use for a back bar or a side bar and mount weights to the back of this bow, allowing you to balance it any way you see fit, keeping with that front bushing on there, locking everything in place and just giving it a great balanced feel. Now the Mach 34 still has that sling option built into the riser, so if you're using one of those PSE slings or you want to pick up one of those quick release slings from PSE, you're going to be able to integrate that right into this riser and use it on this new bow. They also kept with several mounting positions on the sight, which has been a traditional thing from PSE, just allows you to get that sight picture the way that you need it to be. So PSE offered several color options, adding some new color palettes to this bow, And with the new Mach 34, you're going to be able to get it in several solid colors, coming in black and charcoal, as well as a green and tan. And then you're going to be able to pick it up in a few camo colors with First Light Fusion, an old school Mossy Oak Bottomlands, if you're the guy that loves that old school look, as well as Kuiu Verde. And then they've got some mix and match colors. You can get this bow in the Sandman, which is a tan riser with the Subalpine Limbs, or the Gunship, which is a charcoal riser with the Subalpine Limbs. And you're also able to pick this up in a tan or charcoal riser with an EV2 camo limb, just allowing you to customize this bow and make it look great. Now, as in the past, PSE's carbon bows are right there at the top of the market, and this bow is coming in just a little bit underneath the Levitate at $17.99 retail. So for what all you're getting in this bow with all the new upgrades, all the new shim systems, it really is a great value on this carbon riser bow. So if you've wanted to look at a carbon riser bow and you've just put it off till now, the new Mach 34 is going to be something you're definitely going to want to take a look at with all the new great features and tuning options on this bow, and coming in at $17.99. From here, we want to step over to the range and take a few shots out of this bow. We're going to give you a breakdown on the speed as well as the noise rating on this bow, all the way from 350 grain arrow out to a 500 grain arrow. As usual, we'll be shooting this bow at 70 pounds on 29-inch draw length and 90% let off. So we step back here to the lane and we've got the new Mach 34, and we're going to shoot this bow over the chronograph, give you kind of a breakdown of the speeds as well as the noise ratings on this bow and just an overall feel for it. Now, as usual, we will shoot this bow at 29-inch draw length with the 90% let off on 70 pounds, and we are shooting the S2 cam. So we know this bow comes in a couple other options. This is the only one we had available for launch, and it will be the fastest. So when you hear some of these speeds, just take into consideration the E2 cam should be about 5 feet per second slower, and then the EC cam should be about 10 feet per second slower than this S2 cam. So let's give a few shots here and just see what kind of numbers this bow puts up. All right, so with a 400 grain arrow, this bow is getting 316 feet per second. And that may be one of the top speeds we've put out with any bow. So this bow is actually shooting really close to probably what IBO spec should be. So with a 400 grain arrow at 316 feet per second, as we dropped it down to a 350 grain arrow, we got 335 feet per second. So that's just 5 feet per second off of that 340 rating, and we are at 29-inch draw rather than a 30-inch draw. So you're going to see this bow actually maybe even beating what IBO spec is, which we rarely see out of too many bows. They just usually don't come in at the true speeds, and this bow is definitely doing it. So as you take that out to a 450 grain arrow, we got 299. We shot it a bunch. We just couldn't break that 300 mark with it, but it is coming right in there at 300 feet a second with 299 feet. From there, with a 500 grain arrow, we got it at 284 feet per second. And frankly, all those speeds, as you weight this bow up and shoot really heavy arrows, whatever your purpose is for this bow, you're going to see great performance out of this new Mach 34. And being a longer axle-to-axle bow, you don't traditionally see great speeds out of a bow like that. So with the longer platform being more stable, that new full draw stability they've got, and just the high brace height on this bow, I think you've got a real shooter here in your hands. Now, as we take a look at that decibel reading, what we got on that for this time is 95.7 decibels. And frankly, that's really quiet. So being fast and quiet, this bow is just going to be a great shooting machine that you're going to want to get your hands on. Now, as far as the draw cycle and feel for this bow, the S2 cam, obviously getting a lot of performance. It does have a little jump there at the end. You can see it in the design of this cam. It's going to come over. It's fairly smooth getting there. It's a little stiff at the top end. As they redesigned those cams last year, you know they were getting and holding that peak weight 2 inches longer throughout that draw cycle. And you are going to feel that, and it's going to make it drop off a little harder at the back, especially with 90% let off. So it just makes this cam a little stiffer, but it's something you'll get used to if you're wanting that extra performance out of your bow. Now, if you're wanting a smoother feel, I would recommend looking at that EC cam. It has traditionally been very smooth, and I feel that it's going to be the same, especially out of this longer platform with 34 inches. That Evolve cam is going to be much smoother than the S2 cam. And of course, if you're needing those long draws, the E2 cam is going to have a similar feel to the S2 cam. you're just going to be able to get that longer draw length out of it. From there, that dead frequency carbon is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The vibration after the shot is as dead as any carbon. And traditionally, a carbon bow has a little different thud, a little different feel in your hand than what an aluminum bow does. But that dead frequency carbon changes the feel of this. It doesn't feel quite like what we've seen in the past out of PSE or even other manufacturers on a carbon bow. It's just a deader feel in your hand and just a more traditional feel to what you expect out of a bow. From there, you've got the grip. That slim grip has always been one of our favorites. If you're wanting a torque-free grip, PSE's got one of the better ones. It just sits right down the palm of your hand where it's supposed to. Sits very well at full draw. Once you get that thing over, you can feel the performance. It definitely wants to go on this S2 cam, even at 90% let off. That cam is just pulling you through, so you're going to want to shoot that thing strong and pull through your shots very well, and it's just going to be a tack driver, I'm sure. So something you're looking for is a high-end carbon bow. This new redesign from PSE on the Mach 34, from speed, performance-wise, is something you're definitely going to look at. It's going to be right there priced with everything else at $1,800, but you know you're going to have to spend that money if you're wanting a carbon riser bow. So take a look at the new Mach 34 from PSE. Give us a call here at Mike's Archery and we'll get you set up with one.